All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the pre-match press conference for Team England for the third place match in Nice. We're pleased to welcome England's head coach Phil Neville and player Karen Carney, who this morning announced her retirement from professional football. As you know, we're using a remote interpretation app, so we kindly ask that if you do have a question, you raise your hand, let us know what language you're going to ask the question in, then introduce yourself and your organization. The languages available today are English, French, and Swedish. Finally, we have photographers in the room. We have to kindly ask you to leave the room after 5 minutes. All right, first question at the back, please.
Hi Phil, Dan Kilpatrick, Evening Standard. Question in English. Could you react to Karen's news this morning, pay tribute to her, and let us know if you can if she's going to start the game tomorrow? And then Karen, I'd like to hear from you on your reflections on your career, particularly with England, and maybe a best moment.
Well, I think it's something I'd say that me and Karen privately have been talking about for the last 6 months. You can't just get to the end of a season and just think that's it. It takes careful planning, and you've got to sort your thought processes out. So we've been aware of it. But in terms of what I've experienced over the last 12 months, when I first got the job, she was injured. Wasn't probably in my squad for the first 6 months, and then I was actually. I was on holiday and I got a text from one of my players, who was Karen, and saying, "I'm going to go to the World Cup, watch this space," type thing, and I thought, quite like that, a bit cheeky. Then I didn't pick her in the first probably three squads of the next campaign because my players were doing so well, and then we took her to Qatar, and in Qatar what I saw was a player that was unbelievably driven on and off the pitch. And if I can give an example of what kind of professional that Karen is that yesterday when we went to training, we have the option of some players going to training early to practice. We call it individual development plans. And there was only one player that went early yesterday, and that was Karen Carney. And that was a player that was 2 days away from kicking a last ball, actually still went down to the pitch early to practice her skill before everybody else got there. And what I said to the players this morning when we celebrated Karen's announcement was that is not something that you can teach. That is something that's you're born with, and it's within you. And that's the type of player that she is, the type of person that she is. 143 caps for England, 144 at some point tomorrow. Deserves the utmost respect, and I think we at the FA have been speaking for a long time about how we recognise the legends of our game, and maybe in the past we haven't done that, but I think over the last 2 or 3 years on both the men's and the women's side, I think we've now started to recognise that things like this need to be celebrated and recognised, and I feel incredibly honoured that I, in a short space of time, got to know one of our greatest players, but more importantly, what an amazing person. And that makes me a lucky manager. Was that all right?
Yeah, thanks. See you later. Sorry, what did you ask again?
Just your reflections.
Sorry, just 1 second. We have to wait for the microphone to come back. Apologies for that.
Your reflections on today's news and your career, and maybe a best moment with England.
Like Phil said, I've probably known for quite a while now. My mind still wants to do everything, and it still can, but I don't think my body can anymore. I think you've seen the level and the growth of the game, how fantastic it's become, and that's a credit to everybody. And like I said, my mind would want to continue till I was 100, but at some point your body tells you enough's enough, and I think I've got to that point. And I remember reading a quote from Birgit Prince, one of the greatest female players ever. She said, you keep going until you've got nothing else more in the tank, and I don't think I have anymore. So that's why I'm confident, and I know it's the right decision for me, because I feel I've given my heart and my soul for my clubs who I've ever played for, and especially my country. I don't think there's anything more I could physically or mentally give, and I don't have any regrets with how that has happened. I think probably a career highlight would be, I think when I told my mum when I was 11 that I would play for England, and then at 17 doing it.
Before we take the next question, please, we have to ask photographers to kindly leave the room.
Thanks.
Thank you very much. Lady at the back. No. Wait.
Neil Moxley speaking in English, Daily Mirror London. Congratulations on a great career, Karen. Just wondered if you could just put a bit more meat on the bones for us and possibly pick a highlight from your 143 caps so far that sticks out in your memory, please.
I think it would probably have to be, and it's ironic what's going to come up now. I think the highlight for me was probably Euro 2005. It was my first tournament. I was literally the water girl. No one knew who I was. I'm still the water girl now, but but no one knew who I was, and we just went and had fun. And I think that was everyone always tells me about it. That was a big moment for women's football, and it was my first major tournament. It was in England, and I host the Euros because it's going to be unbelievable. Like, you know, I've got goosebumps thinking about it, how lucky the players are going to be, all the staff, that, you know, that tournament and how the buzz and the energy. I can envision fans walking down with jerseys on the back with the female players' names, and, you know, that's all we ever dreamed of. Like, you know, as an 11-year-old, I never thought that would happen, and it's going to happen, and it will happen. And I think that's something that we should be really excited about, is the future. And so it's really ironic that my career highlight was probably my home Euros, and looking forward, there's one coming up very, very soon, and it's one to be really excited about.
Jane Dougal, BBC. Question for Karen, obviously speaking in English. Karen, football's been your life for so long. How difficult was it to make that decision? And what is it that you're going to miss the most about playing for your country?
I don't think it was a hard decision in terms of knowing, because I think when you know, you know, and that sounds really weird. And I actually made it I've probably thought about it for 2 years. Sounds really weird, but then there was always moments where no, keep going, and that was just adversity telling me to stop. But there was a point when I got back home, I think from the She Believes, and I went, no, I'm done. And I walked in and told Em Hayes, I went, I'm done. And I think she just thought internationally. I was like, no, I'm completely done now. I like I said, I can't give anything more. I've maxed out in every area. I thought I've gone for every percentage gain I could to be the best that I could be. And it's just time. And I'm very happy with that decision, and it's the right decision. And I don't have any regrets with that. I forgot what your last question was, sorry. It's really weird. I think the thing I miss most is singing the anthem. That'd be tough. But I think the thing I miss most is just kicking a ball and being like a little kid. It's all right. They're fake.
Question in English from Olof Lund, Swedish TV4 for Phil Neville. You have a bad record against Sweden, both as a player and as a coach. What's your relationship with Swedish football, and how will you end that jinx tomorrow against Sweden?
Morning. Well, Sweden are a brilliant team. I think you play probably with 3 or 4 of the Swedish players. Tactically good, physically good. The coach I've got a great relationship with. I'd say that in my 18 months in charge, the Sweden game in October was probably the game that was the game where we got beat the best in terms of the quality of the opposition. They were the better team by far, and I think it's a great barometer tomorrow for us in terms of the challenge ahead. Is that can we beat teams like Sweden? They're well organised. They've got a good system. They've got fantastic front players. and they're consistently challenging like us to try and get over that line to the semi-final, win tournaments. They will probably be hurting like we are in terms of their semi-final. We came up against the number one team in the world, and Sweden came up against a team probably on paper they thought we should have won. So both teams will be hurting tomorrow, and I think what you'll see two outstanding teams that will attack and want to win that bronze medal. It's not the medal that we wanted to win, but it's the only medal we can win now. So I have full respect for Sweden. Norway, Sweden, Denmark. We've played Denmark in pre-World Cup, but we played Norway in the quarterfinals. Now Sweden. They are always tough games, and I would say that if you was picking teams to play in the world that you'd want to avoid, I think Scandinavian teams at this moment in time are some of the strongest.
In a second, thank you.
Crichton, Sky Sports News in English. Question for Karen. Congratulations on an incredible career. Where do you think you'd be in life if you hadn't have found football?
I think in the nicest possible way. My first job was at Sainsbury's because my mum worked there, and I was a backpacker, and I probably would work my way up the ladder there because I wasn't very good at school either, and I wouldn't have gone to university or anything like that. So I don't know. I'm so grateful for football in so many ways, and I wouldn't change anything. I don't know where I would be, but I know I would have worked hard in no matter what I would have done because my parents have taught me that way. But I don't know where I would have been.
Thank you. In English, please, a question. Tom Gary, BBC website. Phil, how likely are you to rotate your side tomorrow in terms of the lineup, or are you going to go full strength to try and get the bronze? Or, for example, is it a chance to give the 23rd player like Mary Earps a chance to get some minutes on the pitch and get the whole squad playing a game?
It's full squad, full team, strongest team. Well, obviously we can't play Millie Bright because she's suspended, but we want to win this game. I want to send a message to my players that this game is important. We do have certain positions that we'll need to freshen up in, but my players know they're under no illusions that this game is one that we want to win. We want to go away from this World Cup with something to show for the hard work that we've put in, but also 6 wins, 1 defeat sounds better than 5 wins and 2 defeats. So I want to be lay on a sunbed next week, happy that we've finished the tournament well and not finish on 2 defeats. So we're picking the strongest team to win and pick the players that I feel will have enough to beat the Swedish team.
Question for Karen from Swedish, Johan Dolkevall at Expressen. I'll do this in English. Hedvig Lindahl said yesterday that she wants to prove for all of England that she's not done as a goalkeeper, that she's still on top. Do you think that she have to prove that?
I don't think she has to prove anything. I think she's a world-class goalkeeper. I think she should just do what she's always done, be the ultimate professional, and do her best for her country, like she always has done. I really respect Viggy, she knows that. And she's world class. She's been voted the best goalkeeper in the world previously, and she's been outstanding for Sweden this tournament so far, making unbelievable saves. And we've texted each other throughout the tournament, you know, congratulations, you've been amazing. Not for this game though. But I don't think she has to prove anything. She's a top player. She should just do what every other player is going to do, enjoy the moment. But she has nothing to prove. Everyone in England knows how good she is. And I hope everyone in Sweden knows how good she is.
Katie from The Telegraph, question in English for Karen. Can you describe or remember the moment when you told the squad that you were retiring, and have you given any thoughts to what you might do after?
I told them about an hour ago, so I remember it quite vividly. I think me and Phil and Emma Hayes had known for probably 6 months, but we as a group said let's not say anything to anybody, keep it between ourselves, and that was the right decision, because ultimately, at that time, I didn't even know I was being selected for the World Cup. That was still an objective, and for me, it was Chelsea Champions League, and for England to be picked. And then once I was picked, was to win the gold medal. So, and announcing something I didn't feel was the right thing to do, because you don't concentrate on what you're here to do. And even tomorrow, I'm thinking, get the bronze medal, get the bronze medal, get the bronze medal. Like, you know, I've announced it, but let's get back to business. Let's get on the pitch. You know, let's train. Let's make sure we bring that medal back, even though it isn't the one that we wanted. It's still something to hold on for and use as motivation to push forward for the Olympics and for the home Euros. So, like I said, I only told them an hour ago, and I feel bad. I didn't even tell some of my family. My sister didn't even know, and she read it. So I'm sorry, Emma. But yeah, I just wanted to keep it to myself, and I think it was, for me personally as well, just to focus on the job in hand. And when you get the opportunity to play for your country, you want to give it everything and focus solely on that. And I think if I'd said anything before, it would have took that off, and I wanted to win really bad, and that was my decision and our decision, and it was the right decision. I think moving forward, I don't really know what I want to do. There isn't an opportunity within the media for me. I would like to give back to football in some way I wasn't able to help. But I don't know what that is, and I don't know what I'm going to do. All I do know is that I'm going to spend time with my family, because it feels for a long time I haven't been able to spend time with them. And I think as a footballer, you're so selfish and so self-driven to get to places that sometimes you forget the most important people. Not in a malicious way. It's just that you're so driven that you have to do what you have to do. And I think now I have to give back to the people that have supported me. And you know, I'm nothing without my family, and I'm so grateful for them. And I think I want to give back to them now and give them hugs and love, and be them for their moments as well.
Frida Faglund, Swedish Aftonbladet, question in English for Karen. Speaking of Hedvig, were you surprised that she was rejected by Chelsea?
Rejected is a very harsh, strong word. I don't know the ins and outs of it. All I know is Hedvig as a person and as a footballer. As a person, she's a very good friend of mine. As a professional, she's one of the best goalkeepers in the world. I'm not privy to contractual discussions. All I know is that she was an exceptional teammate at Chelsea. Chelsea and myself think extremely highly of her. And whatever she does next, she will be a rock star. And she's, like I said, she's an incredible person and an incredible goalkeeper. And you know, the rest I'm not privy to know about. All I know is that whatever she does, the next people or team or whatever she does is going to be very lucky to have her.
A question in English for Phil, please. Phil, how do you feel about the proposal that the Premier League may take over the WSL? Do you feel that it will help develop the game, and in particular England players?
Yeah, I think it's really positive. I think you look at the brand that the Premier League have got. I think it was never the FA's intention to fully run this league forever. I think obviously with the Premier League brand, the sponsorship, the visibility that they've got worldwide, I think the Premier League are looking at English football, English women's football now, as something that they need to get on board with and use their financial backing and use their power to get involved in something that actually is taking off big time. And I think it's really positive that there are talks, is there? A study. And I think everyone at the FA and everyone in football would welcome that involvement.
Phil, Neil Moxley, Danny Mirror speaking English. Just wondered if sentiment will play a part tomorrow, if indeed there is another penalty with respect to obviously Ellen being having a chance of winning the Golden Boot, because I know how analytical you are and how deeply you go into these things. But I just wondered whether or not obviously that will play a part.
I don't think she'll be on penalties tomorrow if she's on the pitch. We've got to back the process that we've spent a lot of time on. When we select the team, and if she's the best player on the pitch to take the penalty, she'll take it. But my gut feeling is that there will probably be one or two players in front of her that have got a better record and that want to take the penalty.
David Hjorter, Swedish news agency TT. Question in English for Karen. So if you take a minute to dream about tomorrow, how do you want your final match to be? And what's the key to beat Sweden?
I think today is probably, I don't want to thank people for giving me this opportunity, but I think tomorrow is about England and today's done, and the ideal situation is to get back to the hotel with a bronze medal. And I think it's get this out of the way, and it is down to business, and that's what it should be, and that's what it will be about, and that's what we want as a team. We want that bronze medal. How to beat Sweden? Very good. Like Phil said, I play with a lot of them. I know them. I know their mentalities. I know their strengths. They're an exceptional team. And like Phil said, they're going to be hurting, and that's quite scary, a hurt Swedish team. But I think it's about us. And Phil's always told us to play with courage, with bravery, and to be proud. And I think we've just got to do what we've been doing the last few games. Bring energy, bring tempo, and go out and really enjoy it. And, I hope at the end of the game we're back to the hotel with our family and our friends, and we've got something around our neck.
Jessica Crichton, Sky Sports News. Question in English for Phil. Phil, you said obviously that you came here to win this tournament. It hasn't quite happened this time around. How important is it for you personally and this team to win a major tournament, whether it be the next World Cup or the Olympics next summer or even home Euros?
It's fundamental. We've had a lot of people over the last few days, probably the last few weeks, telling us about inspiring. But I actually think that the real inspiration is by winning the gold, standing on that platform with the trophy in your hands. That's the ultimate for me, and we'll continue to strive for that. And I think what we've been probably soul searching the last few days is actually, we speak all the time about what it takes to win, and I think my players over the last couple of days have probably realised that we now need to start kicking on. We go and watch, a lot of the players and myself go and watch other sports, and we see Olympic athletes, we see the rowers. I went to see the rowers train, and when they fall off that rowing machine after an exercise, and then 2 minutes later they get back on, that's what it takes to win. And we've got a young team. We've got a young team in terms of how many years they've been professionals, and they are learning every single day, and we've got to keep educating them in terms of actually they do not know the capabilities yet. And those capabilities is my job and my staff's job to make sure that they're aware that there's an extra 20, 30, 40%. And when we were talking about what happened in the meeting room this morning, when Karen said a few words, she didn't actually talk about herself. She talked about, do you know what? Winning sometimes makes you ill. Winning sometimes makes you sick. Sometimes you can get up in the morning and your first steps maybe have to be a crawl because your body is that sore. That's winning. That's what it takes to win. And when you get to your end of your career at 32 or 36 and you've not got an ounce of energy left in you to do the extra run, to do the extra work, that's what it takes to win and to be successful. So we need just to keep educating our players on the capabilities that are still yet to come. We need to keep finding them. We need to keep pushing them. And over the next 2 years, we've got an opportunity to be successful, but the effort has to go up. We're a team that liked to do 12 reps. Now I think we have to do 20. I really do. I think it has to be that much of a push, because I think we're all sick of losing in semi-finals. I think we're all sick of feeling unlucky. We're all sick of people applauding us for finishing third or fourth. And that's not being disrespectful. That is just the truth, and it hurts.
With the last 3 questions.
Frida, TV4 Sweden, in English for both of you, please. You mentioned some of Sweden's strengths as a group, but could you mention a couple of players that you feel are the biggest threats for you guys? And also, how much is it going to be about handling the upset, the hurt tomorrow?
You are? Oh, sorry. I really like Kosa Asllani. Again, I used to play with her, and Sofia Jakobsen. I really like them because they're ball carriers. They travel with the ball really well. They get the team high up the pitch. They're exciting. They're creative. I have Magda Eriksson as well I play with, so I know her mentality. She's an out defender, dogged, really difficult to beat. And obviously we've spoke about Hedvig, how good she is in goal. So Saga, you could go on. You know, you have to respect Sweden, and I definitely do. And I know Phil and the rest of the team does that. They're not here by luck. They're an exceptionally talented team, and we have got to be at our best, and we've got to push, and we've got to work hard, and they're a talented group, and I've always admired Sweden, and I always will going forward. They're a tough team.
I agree. I think the individuals that Karen has mentioned are obviously outstanding, but without that mentality, individual skill doesn't matter. It's the mentality that I love. The way that they celebrate a goal together, they run over to the bench, every single one of them celebrates together. The spirit that they have, and just that mentality of never knowing when they're beat. And you know what? I think you're absolutely right. I think it's the team that wins tomorrow is the team that will probably have recovered quicker from the defeat in the semi-final. We had an extra day. Sweden played extra time. But ultimately tomorrow it's the team that's recovered from the mental disappointment of losing a semi-final. We thought we were that close. Sweden probably thought they were even closer with the match that they played. So tomorrow is about the mental side. Can you go out there again, and can you get back on that treadmill, and can you produce a performance that gets your country a win in a stadium that will be full of supporters ready to celebrate?
Thomas Pettersson, Expressen Sweden. Coach Neville, you mentioned that you have a good relationship with the Swedish coach, Peter Gerhardsson. Could you tell a bit more about that, and what do you think of the way he changed the Swedish way to play?
Well, I met him when we played in October, and we had half an hour before the game. We said at the time that whoever won would buy each other a beer, and then when we went to the World Cup draw, we didn't manage to have that beer together. So, but we do speak. What are you laughing at?
Tight.
Yeah. We speak. I've seen him at a couple of WSL games in England. I like the way his teams play. So, but when you talk about Sweden, sometimes you probably focus more on the physicality and the mentality, when actually the way that he likes his teams to play is really attractive. And I think he's taken Sweden onto another level in terms of technical ability. He's got some outstanding players, but you can have the best players in the world. You've still got to coach them, manage them, put them into a system to play. And I quite like his manner. He's humble. He's smiling, he's happy, and which means that tomorrow will be a difficult game for me, manager to manager, and from team to team.
Thank you, Patrick. Evening Standard question in English for both of you. There's been already a lot of talk about how we can convert the viewing figures from this World Cup to WSL matches. There's some suggestion that maybe Chelsea could start the season at Stamford Bridge and City could start the season with a game at the Etihad. Is that something you'd like to see? And what measures can you do to convert this interest into the WSL?
Well, there's obviously interest now. There's obviously interest. It would be amazing if we took 1 or 2 games a season to the main stadiums, but I think we only want to take them to that main stadium if we can fill it. Like Atletico Madrid, Juventus, they went to the big stadiums and they filled it. So to do that, an awful lot of work needs to be done promoting, make it visible, getting into schools and making sure that people are aware that the game's on, come and join and watch. So I think that's the biggest challenge. I think it's the easy bit is to just say, yeah, we're going to go and play at the Etihad, Old Trafford, the Emirates or whatever. But the hard bit is actually when you go there to fill the stadium. Our last 3 or 4 fixtures in England for the Lionesses have been sold out. We're selling tickets for the game at Wembley. We're up to 30,000 now, which is a fantastic sign that that game is going to get near to capacity. And that's because we're promoting these games, and they're now seeing the product, they're now seeing the players and the visibility of the players and the personalities of the players. That does need to now go on into the WSL. Stadiums need to be fuller. The visibility, the interest, the promotion of these games need to be. We need to get out there. We need to get into the schools and promote it. We need to get into schools and start having girls' football teams in schools. But I think, you know, we're heading in the right direction, and we've just got to make sure that we keep this momentum going.
All right. Thank you all very much for attending.
Thank you.
Thank you.